One of the strangest parts of modern burnout is how small things can start feeling enormous. Replying to a message, opening an email, making one phone call, starting one assignment, making one simple decision. On the surface, none of those things are actually difficult. So why sometimes can they feel so heavy? Because your brain is no longer experiencing tasks as isolated actions. Every small task becomes connected to everything else that you're carrying on mentally. One unread message reminds you of the other 10,000 unread messages. One assignment reminds you of all future responsibilities. One unfinished task triggers those thoughts about everything you still haven't completed yet. So even tiny actions begin to carry emotional weight far bigger than the task itself. And eventually, your brain starts associating simple actions with accumulated stress. And that's why the beginning often feels harder than finishing, because starting requires pushing through all that psychological build-up surrounding the task. And when your nervous system is already overloaded, even small friction starts to feel exhausting. That's why people delay things and then blame themselves for procrastinating without realizing their brain was already carrying too much cognitive weight before the task even appeared. So the delay isn't always laziness. Sometimes it's accumulated mental pressure, too many unfinished loops running silently in the background at the same time. And modern life creates a hell of a lot of unfinished loops. Notifications, emails, tabs, conversations, deadlines, expectations, you name it. Your attention rarely gets closure anymore. It just keeps accumulating those open mental tabs. This is why exhaustion today can feel strangely disproportionate. You look at a tiny task and your nervous system reacts like it's carrying something massive, because emotionally, it is carrying something massive, not the task itself, but the accumulated weight surrounding it. And over time, that creates avoidance, not because people don't care, but because the brain starts associating tasks with pressure, with guilt, with overwhelm, and with emotional fatigue. Eventually, even opening the laptop can trigger stress. Even hearing a notification can create tension, because your nervous system has learned to associate incoming tasks with more psychological load. And this is the important thing to understand. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It may feel that way at times, but no, it's trying to protect you from that overload. That's why forcing yourself harder sometimes just stops working, because the last thing an overwhelmed system needs is more pressure. Sometimes they need reduced complexity, reduced friction, reduced cognitive weight. That's why breaking tasks into smaller entry points actually works psychologically, because the brain stops perceiving the task as one giant emotional block. It becomes approachable again. The hardest part of many tasks is not the task itself, it's the emotional build-up surrounding it. And once people understand that, self-blame often starts decreasing, because they realize they weren't weak. They were just carrying too many unfinished loops simultaneously. So try this. Take one task today and reduce it to the smallest possible first step. Not the entire project, not the final outcome, just the easiest entry point possible. Open the document, write one sentence, reply to one message, read one page. Because momentum often begins the moment the nervous system stops feeling threatened by the size of the task.